Hello and welcome to NCGPA Live. In this video, we will be introducing the concepts around NCGPA Live and demonstrating the capabilities of the platform that we will be using. This video will be a great onboarding video for guests or people who might be coming on in the future to talk to us on NCGPA Live. And it might be of interest to primary care networks, GP federations, or practices who want to engage with their communities and patients and stakeholders in new and interesting ways. So at NCGPA, there are, let me just change here. There we go, I'm nice and big. So at NCGPA, we are keen to improve our digital engagement with stakeholders. There are lots of messages and important conversations that need to be had around general practice in our area, which is Nottingham. But the communication and headspace and that environment is really, really crowded. So we're experimenting with new communication routes to reach our member practices, our patients, our other stakeholders in the ecosystem that we work with in general practice in our region. And we think that video and podcasts can be a great way to reach people. People are able to access and engage with the information in new ways, like when doing the ironing or driving to and from work, or using that spare space throughout the day. And hopefully the information itself can be a little bit more interesting and dynamic and rich. So we are going to do a series of broadcasts to communicate some key messages and start some important conversations that we think need to be had. We're going to evaluate the impact of those, and we may do more of this in the future. So just diving in, we're using a platform called StreamYard, which is really, really interesting and versatile. And in this first broadcast, we will talk through the process of using the software, of how we're putting together the episodes. So as mentioned before, if you're coming on to a broadcast in the future, you'll know exactly what to expect, and you'll know the capabilities of the platform. So to bring other guests in, guests are given a private link, a URL that's sent to them via WhatsApp or email, and they just click that link or paste it into their browser, press return, and they will be allowed into the broadcast studio and the space. So let's bring in Maisie. So hello, Maisie.
Hiya.
Hi there. So I'm just going to pop up a banner. This is another feature of the platform, that we can have banners pre-prepared to pop up. And I realised I didn't introduce myself. So I'm Dr. Andy Foster. I'm a GP in Nottingham, GP partner in one of NCGPA's member practices, and I'm also an NCGPA board member. And Maisie, for those people who don't know who you are.
So I'm Maisie. I'm Digital Marketing Communications Officer at NCGPA. Head off.
Fantastic. So yeah, you're excited to be here today and trialing this out?
Yeah, it's really, really exciting, interesting. So see how it goes.
Fantastic. So Maisie, why are we doing this? How did we come to the point of sitting here having this conversation on video?
So we just like you mentioned, wanting to think about different ways we can communicate with all of our stakeholders in different ways as well. So by using technology and using more things that we've used before, it's adding another element to that. And just make communication a bit more personal, getting to a different level. So it's an interesting way to start exploring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it should be a good way to improve the relationships that we have with stakeholders. And I'm particularly interested in some of the sort of two-way communication sort of elements that are part of the platform. You know, if people we can do live broadcasts, and if people are watching on YouTube or Twitter, or in the multiple places you can simultaneously stream to, you know, we can monitor those chat and comment feeds and bring things on screen and even bring people on screen and make this really, really interactive. I suppose the other thing, Maisie, I'm quite interested in is that it allows the organisation to learn some new skills, doesn't it, around video and presenting and having these sorts of conversations, which can be sort of cascaded to other parts of the organisation and to member practices, I guess, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So exciting times. So we've just touched there about the stakeholders or the people that we might want to reach with this. Who do you see as the key stakeholders for us?
So obviously, dependent on the content of the broadcast, we're thinking member practices, patients sometimes as well, if the content's relevant, and just wider NHS community. So reaching different groups within our city or further. So quite a few different people.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, actually. Member practice, patients, those are the key ones. And then actually what you tend to find, I think, is that other stakeholders do pay attention to what organizations do in the media and communications space, and sometimes even sort of key individuals within those organizations that you might want to reach do see these communications. And I suppose the other thing as well is, once we've done the communications, once we've done the episodes, then they exist as a video that we can use as a resource in the future for as long as that information remains current as well. They don't just happen and then disappear like a live event. They stay and they live, and we can use them again and circulate them. So it's quite exciting, really.
Yeah.
So we're just moving on, I guess, to think about what we think are the key messages that we need to get out. And I know we spent some time brainstorming those as a communications team, and I'm just going to demonstrate sort of functionality here, so people can come in with a PowerPoint presentation or slides, and we can sort of bring that on screen and talk around it. So what do you think about the messages, Maisie?
So we've had a look and thought about such a wide variety of different topics to cover. So again, we can reach different stakeholder groups and different interests. So as you can see on the screen, we've got a few GP Plus updates, sort of clinics with different people in the organisation, again, to help or engage people. We've also got more specific sessions, so for social prescribing or clinical pharmacists. So we've tried to get a really wide range of topics and messages in there.
Yeah, and I think it's a good place to sort of showcase the work that's being done. Starts what could be some interesting conversations with stakeholders, and then also get kind of key messages out, sort of things about the strategic positioning of the organization and the vision and where we're going and things like that. I know there's another column to this spreadsheet in the version that we have that's private, and we have identified key individuals that may be watching this broadcast that we intend to approach to talk to these topics. I'm particularly interested to hear about the direction and shareholder engagement from Jonathan Hart, the chair of NCGPA, and we've got all sorts of other people. I won't name too many more names coming up to talk about all of these different things, but there's a range of things here, isn't there, from sort of service update around GP Plus, one of the key services provided, to potentially looking at doing some, say, private, because we do have the ability to do private and closed sessions just for internal use. So we could do some sessions or a session around how we handle significant learning events, for example, not necessarily discussing patient identifiable information, but around the processes there. I'm looking at the equality and diversity session and thinking that there could be an opportunity around, delivering training, using this sort of method, and then having the recordings there for people to catch up on their training afterwards. So really, really exciting space, I think. So Maisie, what sort of format are we going for with this?
So I think we've got, again, with the capability of StreamYard, we've got sort of either pre-recorded type sessions or as live ones that we can broadcast on Twitter or put on YouTube as well. So because of the capability, we've got quite a open methods really to engage.
Yeah, and I think the as live format is really important, because I think people shouldn't be intimidated by coming on video, and actually the format that we're doing now is actually quite forgiving to the viewer's eyes. I think, if you just sit down, record something start to finish as if it was a Zoom or Teams meeting, I think that people watching forgive little slip-ups and mistakes, and really it's the only way to really get a decent amount of content out in a reasonable amount of time. So I'm quite pleased that we've decided to go for the as live format. What do you want to talk about next, Maisie?
So I suppose if you wanted to go through some of the functions of the software, so I know we've mentioned a few already, but maybe demonstrations and things.
Yeah, so we'll talk through some of the functions. So firstly, we've got the ability to, so it's like a broadcast studio that we're in at the moment. So we can kind of bring, all sorts of things on and, off the screen, move us around, bring guests in and out. So just highlighting that it's actually quite a versatile thing. And actually I'm sort of just sat controlling that whilst doing the presentation, and that seems to work quite well. We can broadcast to multiple places simultaneously. So we could broadcast live on the Twitter account whilst broadcasting live on YouTube, and potentially LinkedIn and other places that we might want to. But we can also record things for broadcast later, or never broadcast them or share them, and just use it as a communication space or for internal learning. We've got the slide share capability, so we can add that again there. We can deliver a presentation here, so that's a good capability, just so people know that. People are very used to sharing their screen, I think, in Teams and Zoom meetings these days. You have multiple guests on screen. There's 2 of us now, but there could be more. It could be quite a lot of guests on screen, so we could have some interesting panel discussions, for example, if we wanted to do that, and I think that would be quite exciting. We can sort of aggregate comments, so no one is watching live because this is recorded, but if they were watching live, we can see the comments that people have made on the various platforms, and you can pop them on screen and sort of respond sort of instantly to them, or take them in Q&As, which I think is quite powerful and interactive. And of course, yeah, so there's these recordings, as we say, once they're on YouTube and Twitter, they can be watched again and sort of live there on the internet for the future, which I think is great. Yeah. Anything else that you're interested in as we move forward and talk about this, Maisie?
Yeah, I suppose what can people expect that are coming on the broadcast as well?
That's a good question, and this is partially an onboarding video, isn't it? So I guess we'll just talk through what we've just done, because we've prepared this session as if we were doing a real session with a real guest. Not that you're not real, Maisie. So we've spent about 30 to 45 minutes on a Teams call, or actually in this space, just sharing a screen with a live document, and we've just gone over what we think are the key points to touch on. So we're actually working on a shared document that we've both got visible, that has just bullet points in terms of what we're talking about, so that we can both navigate through and we both know what's coming next. But we've actually put that together really, really quickly, and the plan is to have the guest available for about, say, 45, 60 minutes prior to recording or going live with the episode, just to talk through their slides, or talk through some bullet points to make sure that we get the best out of the guest and out of the session, and that we tease out the really important things that need to be raised. So we've done that, and then Maisie has the link. She's come backstage. I'm sharing the slides on my screen, and we're just going live, and we are recording it. We're using the as live format, as we mentioned, because that should be quite forgiving. Should mean that there's no or very little editing to do afterwards. I think we're both quite happy to leave in minor slip-ups and mistakes. That just makes us all seem more human. And then after it's finished, because if it's live, then it's already on the platforms. If it's recorded, then we just very quickly download it and then just upload it to the channels where we want it to be, and it should be quite quick to do. We're also thinking about maybe releasing some of these as podcasts as well, but that would be a really simple process of just downloading them, ripping off the audio, and just uploading the audio in the as live format to the podcast platform of our selection. I'd be interested to know if people would value it as an audio podcast as well, actually. So that's how it should work. So, I mean, Maisie, how we're just getting towards the end of this presentation, really. How are you feeling about the project? Are you excited?
I am, yeah. So I'm looking forward to see how it evolves, and sort of the engagements that we can get from it, and how different stakeholders sort of react to it as well. So it should be really interesting to see.
Cool. Yeah, it's nice to do something that's a little bit new, exciting, and fresh, isn't it? So Maisie, how can people get involved with this going forwards?
Yeah, so we hopefully we'll be updating on Twitter, so you see updates on when we might be doing that as live, or just when we've got a new broadcast available. They'll all be on YouTube to watch, so they, like I say, you can watch them back. And also we'll have a bit more information on the website as well. So on the screen there, the link, it'll sort of lead you to the YouTube account to watch them back, and just a bit more information about NCGPA Live. So all together, and we'd also like to hear from people if you want to suggest any topics you'd like us to cover, or if you're just interested in maybe joining a session and having a broadcast. So yeah, it'd be good to hear from people as well.
Yeah, fantastic. If people are doing really good things in their practice, I think they want to talk about it and spread good practice to our local community, or more widely to the community of general practitioners and people in that space on the internet, then get in touch. So it should be really exciting. So I guess all that remains is for me to thank Maisie for being brave enough to join the first as live broadcast. We've managed to do it in one take, which I think is really, really fantastic. And thank people for taking the time to watch this video. And I think we will end the broadcast there, but hopefully we'll see people for future episodes. Thank you. Thanks, Maisie.
Thank you. Thank you.